Burkina Faso woke up in horror and mourning the day after the attacks against a Catholic church in the north of the country. 6 people lost their lives and many more are in shock. The government describes the attacks as cowardly and barbaric. The Lithuanians voted yesterday in the first round of the presidential elections. The Prime Minister will not partake in the second round. Only a former minister will run against a novice in politics. The African strikers playing in the English Premier League have been in great shape and shown 1,000 glimpses this season, which ended this Sunday, and the top 3 scorers with 22 goals each are all from Africa. These are our top stories. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. The rural state of Nebraska in the United States has been facing historic floods for 2 months, resulting in the deaths of at least 3 people and causing damage estimated at more than $1 billion. This rising water caused by a strong week-long storm and a rapid snow melt is threatening farmers in this American region, destroying entire fields. The organization representing Nebraska farmers has estimated losses of $1 billion in crops and livestock.
And so we had very little time to make any preparations because the water just rushed in and it covered all of this land here that we're standing on. And it was about 4, maybe 6 feet deep in.
Mostly we had soybeans, and they can't handle the flood. They're short, they grow close to the ground, and you get a couple feet of water on them, and they're trash. They're no good. They're worthless.
Yes, because China buys a lot of our commodities from us. They buy soybeans, they buy corn. That's what they get from us. So consequently, it was our products that are most affected by that trade war. The overall big picture, did it need to be done? Absolutely. And he's got the wherewithal and desire to do it. But does that mean that we're all very happy about it because it's costing us?
According to the National Weather Service, even if the waters recede in places, floods will persist in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa, as well as in some parts of Missouri and around the Mississippi. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence was due to travel to Nebraska on Tuesday to see the affected areas. 9 reception centers are still open for residents who have been forced to leave their homes. It was during the mass that armed individuals broke into the Catholic Church of this municipality in the province of San Matenga in northern Burkina. They started firing while the church members were trying to escape. Dablo Ousmane, the mayor of Zongo, told AFP, the French agency, the attackers could nevertheless immobilize some congregants, of which they killed 5, including the priest who was celebrating mass, bringing to 6 the number of the people killed. According to a security source, shops are closed in almost a dead city. The head of state, Roch Marc Christian Kabore, condemned this barbaric act. A reaction followed by that of the Burkina political class. The opposition calls on people not to fall into the trap of community division targeted by attackers who broke into the church. Speaking of a cowardly and barbaric attack, the government said in a statement that after failing to oppose communities with targeted killings of customary chiefs and community leaders, terrorist groups are now attacking religion in the fatal goal of dividing us. Burkina Faso has been confronted for the past 4 years to increasingly frequent and deadly attacks led by the jihadist groups, including Ansarul Islam, the support group for Islam and Muslims, and the Islamic State organization in Sahara. Initially happening in the north, these attacks now target the capital and other regions including the east, and has since 2015 killed nearly 400 people, according to the French press agency Agence France Presse. Gitanas Noceda, an economist and a novice in politics, will on May 26th run against Ingrida Simonite, a former conservative finance minister, for the second round of the Lithuanian presidential election. But the current prime minister announced his resignation and will not partake in the second round of this presidential election. According to Saulius Skvernelis, Lithuanian Prime Minister, a few more weeks of campaigning were needed because this campaign had started a bit too late and the mistakes that were made could have been avoided. Saulius Skvernelis entered the police to patrol the streets in 1998. 10 years later, he was already deputy commander of the National Police before becoming the supreme leader in 2011. His determination to eradicate corruption and improving safety on the roads has earned him respect and popularity. He entered politics in 2014 and became prime minister without formally joining the party in power. Saulius says that by 2016, we had gained a large amount of confidence to do these jobs that no one had done before, and maybe they should have made fewer reforms, tried to maneuver and look for good positions. Seeing himself distanced by Simonite, he announced Sunday night, without waiting for the final result, his resignation for July, considering that the result of the vote reflected the judgment of the Lithuanians on his government. In Gabon, how to improve public spending in the education sector. Economists at the World Bank provided some insights in their review of public expenditure presented on May 9. In this review, the World Bank offers a number of recommendations to improve the employment-related training, efficiency, and equity in the education sector in Gabon. Increasing spending on public education would be one of those directions. According to the World Bank, Gabon would spend less on education than most comparable upper-middle-income countries with similar levels of income. If well managed, an increase in public spending on education could have a positive impact on the country's education performance. According to the World Bank, the government should consider creating a fiscal bridging exercise to increase education spending by increasing non-oil revenue mobilization, by improving overall spending efficiency, and setting minimum budget targets. The African strikers playing in the England Premier League have been in great shape this season and shown 1,000 glimpses at the end of the year 2018-2019, which ended this Sunday, and the top three scorers with 22 goals each are all Africans. The final day of the Premier League disclosed its verdict with the crowning of Manchester City in a consecutive manner, but it is their sixth trophy in the history of the club. Another title, but individual this time, was competing behind the scenes, that of the top scorer of the English Championship. If Mohamed Salah had the advantage of the votes with 22 goals before the final day, behind the Egyptian were the Senegalese Sadio Mane, the Gabonese Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Sergio Aguero from Argentina with all 20 goals each. At the end of the 38th day, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Sadio Mane, and Mohamed Salah ended up with 22 goals each. The Gabonese and the Senegalese strikers both scored twice respectively against Wolverhampton and Burnley, having scored 2 goals each. The top scorer of the Premier League was going to be appointed on a different criterion than on the number of goals scored, and Aubameyang heads the top 3 scorers and gets away with the title. The captain of the Panthère du Gabon scored his 22 goals, having played 2,731 minutes, while Sadio Mane had a playing time of 3,085 minutes and Mohamed Salah played for 3,256 minutes. 9 years after the Ivorian Didier Drogba and Africans corners again the first place in the ranking of the best goal scorers in the English Championship, but the last time 3 players ended at the top of this ranking in the Premier League, it was 20 years ago, in the 1998 and 1999 season. Burkina Faso woke up in horror and mourning the day after the attacks against a Catholic church in the north of the country. 6 people lost their lives and many more are in shock. The government describes the attacks as cowardly and barbaric. The Lithuanians voted yesterday in the first round of the presidential elections. The Prime Minister will not partake in the second round. Only a former minister will run against a novice in politics. African strikers playing in the English Premier League have been in great shape and shown 1,000 glimpses this season, which ended this Sunday, and the top 3 scorers with 22 goals each are all from Africa. That's all for our newscast today. Stay tuned on Gabon 24 for more news.